seated. Lordy, Lordy, is that what y'all do here? My name is Becca, and I'm part of the Thistle Farms community. We are in Nashville, Tennessee, but Thistle Farms is actually a global movement for women's freedom. It started 30 years ago with one house in Nashville. We welcomed 5 women who were survivors of trafficking, addiction, who came off the streets, who came out of prison, to come and live free for 2 years with no authority in the house. And we did that for several years, and then we started a bath and body care company, as one will, so that we could continue to grow and figure out how to spread the word that love heals. Now, Thistle Farms is the largest network in the United States of America of long-term free beds for women survivors, with more than 72 communities, many of them supported by Episcopal churches, many, many. And we have a global shared trade program, and I'll tell you a little bit more about that. But we are thrilled that St. John's invited us to come. We got to be a part of the beautiful writers conference yesterday. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everybody. And I have now had 24 hours of the healing laugh of your rector, Chris. I didn't even know that was what I needed. He is the best. Thank you. And also, he's an easy sell. So I've been selling him stuff on the side from Thistle Farms. Just so you know, if you ever are selling stuff, he's a very, very easy person to sell to. I love this gospel for the season of Lent. What a better metaphor, what a better reality for Lent than the Jericho Road. Y'all know the Jericho Road is famous. 18 miles from Jerusalem to Jericho, you descend a half a mile on this twisty, turny road, so dangerous they called it the way of blood. It was like the psalm that y'all sang so beautifully, beautifully, about this idea that people are waiting to do you harm. People are ready to lay in wait. That was the Jericho Road, so it made perfect sense that Jesus would use that as an example. Now, the truth is, everybody knows the story, and it's almost easy to hear it and not engage in it again. But I remember one of the first times I really got how beautiful and powerful this could be for a way of discipleship. I heard one of Martin Luther King's speeches about this when he talks about the idea of the priest and the Levite. It made sense they would be scared on this road. And the question they asked is, what'll happen to me if I stop and help this man? But the Samaritan asked a different question. The Samaritan asked, what will happen to him if I don't stop? Now, a little bit about my history of how I got into this work and ordained for 34 years. My dad was an Episcopal priest, like yours, Chris. And was yours an Episcopal priest? Oh my gosh. That's crazy. But listen, my dad was an Episcopal priest in Connecticut. We were all born in Connecticut. They called him to come to Nashville, Tennessee to start a mission church in 1968. He moved down here with his wife, 35 years old, 5 kids, and was killed by a drunk driver. 1968. I was telling Chris that my dad died believing that the end of the church would be if women were ever allowed to be acolytes. Yeah, some of y'all remember those times, right? And what happens to kids when they get in that place, when trauma happens and tragedy happens, is they become vulnerable, and then people who would prey on vulnerability then step into your life. And that is exactly what happened to us. And my first experience of abuse actually happened in the fellowship hall of my church by one of the vestry members. And that was the reason I think I always read this gospel from the perspective of the guy in the ditch. I didn't confuse myself with a Levite, with a priest, with a Samaritan. I knew that I had been a guy in a ditch. And it was safe community that pulled me out. It was groups like the Daughters of the King and the Episcopal Church women taught me everything I needed to know. I mean, I learned everything about running a bath and body care justice company because of the church bazaar. That's the truth. It's the same thing on a different scale. It was the scholarships offered by both those groups that got me into Sewanee to find a path out. And so I knew when I got ordained, I wanted to start communities for women to have a place to come out, to understand that gratitude and mercy and remember the ditches we've been in and how we got there. But this year, you know, just given all the stuff going on in our world, whether it's polarizing politics or uncertain economics or global man-made and human-made disasters, all of these things, I have re-engaged these Gospels and I've re-engaged this story of the Good Samaritan. And some of the insights I'm learning that I wanted to share this morning with you, the first one is that I think the Good Samaritan is a misnomer, as if one guy did this. It's community. The Good Samaritan, the first thing he did after he obviously didn't know anything about health care and poured wine on open wounds was take him to an inn where people could house and feed him. It took a community of people. It took chefs and people caring for the room. And it's this idea that community is the oldest entity this world knows for healing. We have this image of this hero that happens. And it's not real. We don't have to be the hero of the story. The Good Samaritan with the cape. Jesus didn't wear a cape, he wore an apron. When he gets up from the table, he wraps an apron around himself and serves. This is a faith of people who want to be good hosts, not heroes. We call the bread the host for that very reason. So we get to be a host for each other, and people get to be the hero of their own story. The guy in the ditch was heroic. So this idea of we need each other to do this healing work on our Jericho roads. The second thing I'm remembering and to learn about this story is the realization nobody wants to be on the Jericho road. We don't really want to go down that path. We can say that, you know, we're disciples, we want to follow. It's like, not really on that road. What we say at Thistle Farms is nobody came to Thistle Farms because it went really well. We got there because it didn't go so well, but we found this deep gratitude and mercy and compassion, and we want to be with one another. And we want to stay together to do this work. I love that I get to travel with some heroic women who have been through so much and have done this in a beautiful way. Today, I get to travel with two graduates. This is Ty. Ty is the manufacturing director at Thistle Farms. She helps manufacture and sell about $5 million worth of bath and body care products a year. You're a god. I get to travel with Tammy. She is the candle maker. When y'all go after church to buy a candle, she can give you expert opinion about which scents are perfect for you. It is so great to be here. And what I know is that many folks, many of us, have no idea about the beautiful. You know that I love babies' voices so much. It's my favorite. I love it. That's the sound of the angel in the room. Yes. But I think you guys have been down Jericho Road, some of us could never imagine, and have taught me at least, you know, master's level classes and what really forgiveness and mercy looks like on the Jericho Road, and really learning about this Lenten journey. Ty, yesterday, Ty, I got to say, am I okay to talk? What are you going to say now? I'm up here. But yesterday we were selling at this book festival, and you would look over and Ty was just crying, and I couldn't figure it out. And so Ty was from Knoxville 20 years ago. And when she heard that we were coming to St. John's, she said she wanted to come. And she goes, "Is that the church with the red door?" And I was like, well, I think they all have red doors. But I said yes, because I wanted her to come. And we got here, and they set up the table yesterday right by, in the basement, the bookstore was right by the door where the AA meetings were. And Ty had remembered that was where she had some of her first encounters with recovery on the Jericho Road. And it was so full of gratitude. It's been 20 years, and what that looks like and how important it is to remember that, where we've been and how it is we heal. We don't want to be there, but there are so many gifts on the Jericho Road. All of our brokenness, maybe our anger, maybe our fear, maybe our anxiety, maybe our broken relationships, whatever it is that's calling you in that space of the Jericho Road, it is also a place of great healing and hope that gets deeper into our hearts than anything else. And I also think the Jericho Road, we would be remiss if we didn't visit the truth that the Jericho Road is about money. How about that? How about that for some real gospel? That the first thing that the Samaritan had to do was pay some money. That this stuff is not free. There is this messiness and intimacy of healing, but it's also expensive. To get a room, to get clothing, to get that, and we have to be able to do that. And that's why we really continually learn what it means for us to manufacture these justice gifts and translate them into houses and education, all of those things. That we have to be engaged in the marketplace and in the world to understand the power of love, how it can change workforces, how it can heal people. One of the things that Thistle Farms has done for years is that we have worked with women who are refugees around the world. And we do that because, you know, human trafficking and refugees are inextricably linked. When we were working in Greece with the Syrian refugee women, there are traffickers outside the refugee camps ready. It's dangerous and scary. And so we've kept that work going to help link those and to help people see that they're women. When we invest in women, we can heal whole communities. And when we rape women, we kill communities. Our latest endeavor was working with women from Bethlehem. They're potters. This is before October 7th, before the Hamas attack. It was July of that year. And we have been working with potters in Bethlehem. These are Palestinian Christian women who are very gifted potters. There was this huge trade from tourism in Bethlehem, and we decided it'd be super fun to engage them. Holy hands making holy vessels in the Holy Land. Right? That would work. So we contacted them. Rasha was the head potter. Beautiful, amazing, down-to-earth woman. And I said, we want to order 250 chalice and patens. Things got going for the rest of the summer, and then October 7th happened, and I'm like, oh my gosh, we're not going to be able to get any chalice and patens. It's over. There's a war. A week before Thanksgiving, I get this notice to come down to the dock at Thistle Farms. There's these huge boxes, tons of them, waiting for me with my name on them, and I get down there, and there's 250 chalice and patens from Bethlehem. 250. Mind you, if you know anything about manufacturing and you've never seen a prototype or discussed a price, it's a little shocking to receive 250. And I also couldn't figure out how they got there, how they got out of the war zone. And that's when I noticed for the first time in my entire life that the universal symbol for fragile is our chalice. This red chalice with the line through it, you've seen it. And I was like, these fragile chalices made of clay came through a war zone for us. This is it. Chris has already bought it. This fragile chalice that also we say every week, the cup of salvation. The Jericho road is scary because it reminds us we're fragile. It reminds us of the broken pieces of ourselves, and it doesn't mean don't touch, it means handle with care. This beautiful space where healing is possible. I called Rasha. I was like, they're stunning. I love them. Where are you? She said, I made it to Greece. I'm with my 2 children. We're safe. I said, how did you get out? She said, I left at midnight down the Jericho road.